Good afternoon, panelists and the sign language interpreters. My name is Nathaniel Mudomi. I'll be the moderator for this session. So we are having a forum to discuss lived experiences of persons with disabilities in public transport. We're giving perspective from Kenyan experience, because this is a conference that aims to inform issues to do with the practice and policy. So your inputs into these discussions, would be highly appreciated.
Yes, I'm Brian Waguma, the Secretary, Access Network of the Blind organization. I believe that is Access Network of the Blind you are describing there. I got disconnected for quite a while before I rejoined. Perhaps I can get that confirmation from you. Was it Access Network of the Blind you are describing?
Yeah, I was given your background, your identity. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That is who I am, Brian Waguma. Currently, I work as the intern computer instructor at the Kenya Society for the Blind. And I'm also an advocate trainee at the Kenya School of Law. That is basically who I am. And I took part in this research about transport and persons with disabilities. And my input in this research was to give the perspective of blind persons. As a blind person, I have been a regular user of public transport, and the experience there is what I shared during the research when information were being sought. And
Brian,
yes,
I'll be asking you some questions. I wanted us just to hear your voice by yourself.
Okay, sorry.
So that is okay. Yeah. Yes, you participated in the research. So I'll be asking you some specific questions. And to start off with, would you consider public transport a good mode of transport that you
certainly yes
regularly use?
Certainly yes, it is a good mode of transport that I regularly use. I would consider it a good mode of transport.
Yes. Why do you say so?
I say so because majority of Kenyans and of citizens, part of whom have disabilities, find that to be the most appropriate, mode of transport for them, given its affordability, given its convenience, and mostly because of the cost. The cost is relatively low, so that makes it the most appropriate in those circumstances. So yes, it is a good mode of transport.
Ah, wonderful. So in terms of, we have, during the research, we reported some of good and not so good experiences.
Yes.
Could you share one good experience and one bad experience that you ever had while using a public transport vehicle?
Yeah, certainly. Let me start with the good experience. The good experience is that I am able to use, a small amount in fare to get to a place which I would have otherwise spent a lot had I used alternative means like say Bolt or private means. So for me, that is a good experience. Even with my disability as a blind person, I can get from home to work and back using the same amount of fare ordinary people who have no disabilities would use. One bad experience is that, given the low levels of awareness among matatu operators, I use matatu, among matatu operators, it sometimes becomes challenging psychologically to even communicate with the matatu operators, because the language used there is not the language that is disability friendly. You are perceived as someone who is likely boarding the matatu, expecting that you will be transported from point A to point B for free. So whenever I board the matatu, that was in early days, and sometimes even today, they would often ask the person taking me to board that matatu whether I have the money to pay, or they will ask that person who is it that will pay for my fare, but they will not ask me directly. I think I don't know why. I don't know why. So it is like being visually impaired also comes with inability to express myself. For me, that is an attitudinal barrier that causes stigma, which is not very encouraging, and it really it inconveniences me in terms of psychology. That is one bad experience.
Thank you so much, Brian. Have you faced any harassment while using a public service vehicle? In Kenya, we call them matatus. That is the most common name. So if you hear somebody say matatu public service vehicle, it means the same. So have you been harassed before? I mean, while using a matatu, Brian?
Yeah, the form of harassment I would point out happened in form of, there was a day I was going somewhere. I can't quite remember where that was, but on reaching my destination, I expected the conductor would assist me to alight from the vehicle and go and stand at an appropriate location, at a location that will be suitable for me, that will not expose me to risks as I wait for the person with whom I was to connect. But unfortunately, when I got to my destination, the conductor would not assist me. The conductor would, have me alight the vehicle, and then, call someone to assist me. Then that someone who was told to assist me, and I don't know whether the right word to use is violent, but the point I'm trying to drive at is that the person who was, asked to assist me was really causing me too much discomfort. He was shouting at me, "You move at this direction, you know where you are going," and those kind of things. So for me, that was a harassment that was initiated by the conductor, because I believe he, as the matatu operator, having agreed to assist me alight the vehicle and get to where I was to wait for the person I was supposed to connect with, was supposed to be the one to assist me and not give me to someone else. Yet that is not something we had communicated about. So yes, although harassment has not been occurring regularly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that experience, Brian. You have noted that we have good things about public service vehicles, one being the costs and being able to take you wherever you want to go. But you have also noted some bad experience with, the first one was the issues of attitude, where people imagine that you cannot hear because you're blind. And therefore they start speaking on to people who are near you instead of you directly. So that is attitudinal barrier. And they imagine that you'll not be able to pay. And then you've experienced somebody who was mishandling you. So thank you so much for that, Brian. We'll come in back to you on the recommendations. The next panelist is Collins Ombajo. Kindly just a brief about just your name and something that I missed about you. Then I can ask you questions. Karibu, Collins.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel. I bet I'm audible.
Yes, hello? Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. This is Collins Ombajo. Apparently, you captured majorly most of the details about me. I've worked for a number of organizations purporting disability inclusion, started with inclusive education and went ahead to social and social accommodation of persons with disability projects that were targeting involvement of women with disability in development making processes. I've also been implementing activities that influence inclusive employment, and this is targeting employees with disability and even making employment environments safe for persons with disability. I've again been implementing an activity a project on inclusive elections. This targets the 2022 general elections, and we want to bring out persons with disability to participate in these processes. So that's all about me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Collins, for that. Collins was also part of this research that we came up with. We have a report done by, on behalf of Flown Initiative. So, Collins, are you a regular user of public service vehicles?
I'll say yes, I'm a regular user of the public service vehicles.
Yeah, I'll also ask you to share one good experience or the goodness of matatus or public service vehicles, and also a bad experience that you've ever encountered.
Well, basically in Nairobi, I'll talk about my experience in Nairobi because I've majorly been staying in Nairobi. Matatus are effective. You can bet that you can't miss a matatu the moment you arrive at the boarding station. That is majorly the stages. So I can say the effectiveness, and they are a bit cheap compared to other means of transport. I may have a car, but again, the expense I might want to use on the car will prompt me to use a matatu if the errands are easy.
Good. So the issue of reliability.
Yes.
Good. So give us one good experience that you've ever experienced while using a matatu, and also a bad experience, other than now the normal one of reliability that you talked about.
Well, good experience. I'd say some sort of discipline is being injected in the matatu industry. Not all circles. I'll be particular about some circles that inject some sort of discipline where the passenger is dignified. I mean, you are respected, and you the services are okay. This I'll attribute to some specific circles in Nairobi. But again, a lot has been said about albinism, a disability that I have. It has ranged from myths, misconceptions, and fallacies that persons with this albinism have a probability of making you famous if maybe you are a politician, and even making you rich if you are a businessman. This has led to killings of persons with albinism. So this has not, the talk has not ended. And annoyingly, you'll hear maybe touts speak ill of albinism when you are on board a matatu. Mark you, these are elderly persons speaking in the presence of maybe children who have boarded the matatu, or even some people who have no knowledge about albinism in the same matatu. So I many a times encountered this. I've also had many people with albinism speak about it whenever they are boarding matatus. The recent case that I heard of a friend with albinism who was trying to board a matatu at railway station, railways bus terminus. The touts were shouting at her, at the matatu staff, not to allow her board because she is spreading corona. It was attributed that the initial stages when COVID-19 came about, persons with albinism were accused of being carriers of the virus because they're associated with maybe foreigners. So it didn't go well. Persons with albinism were facing rejection to board matatus, were facing derogative languages all over, which didn't even allow them maybe to interact socially and comfortably the way they were used to. So yes, that is the negative experience I've seen in the public sector.
Yeah, you're talking about people thinking that when you move around, this is we can transform you into quick money. I think that is
quite, and that has happened a lot.
Yeah, and they speak in your presence. So that kind of attitude is quite disheartening and quite dehumanizing. Now, Collins, when you talk about we have had people being left at bus stations, and during the research we have a figure of around 60 of the participants. They said at one time they would never been left by a matatu because they find someone with a disability being a burden. What do you make out of that?
Well, I've also experienced the same. Not once, twice, but not as a person. I was in a group of friends with disability. I interact a lot. I have a lot of friends with disability. And many a times we might decide to work together and do public means. So at a stage, I was supporting a wheelchair user. A matatu came about that I thought could accommodate the wheelchair plus us because the wheelchair was foldable. But again, when the driver was trying to slow down in an attempt to stop, to pick us, the conductor actually told the driver to move on. They've no space for us. Yet, while I was looking at the matatu, I saw it was like half empty. So it could accommodate the wheelchair plus us. So I don't know his perception per se, because personally, I was comfortable supporting the wheelchair user to board the matatu. I was not looking for any other support. And the wheelchair user could also maybe hold some other places as we move in the matatu. It did go well with us. Again, this happened a way back while we were still schooling. And we were in a group of like say 7, but all students with different types of disabilities. So we had a visual, those who are totally blind. We had those who were using crutches, who had a physical impairment. Myself, we were going out for social interaction in town, at a joint in town. So it was a bit late at night when we were done and were moving back to our hostels. So we opted to board a matatu that was totally empty. A tout came about and stopped the driver from supporting us board, asking who would accommodate our fares, like literally thinking that persons with disability do not pay fares or are poor to an extent that they request for free transportations. We, all of us, the 7 of us, didn't take it easy to an extent that we stopped the tout from boarding the same matatu. We told the driver that we are paying the full fares of the other seats. And again, we are not going with your assistant. You'd rather find another one, or we go the way we are because you'll take us to our destination, which happened. The driver understood and he told the tout to remain behind. So that acted as a good gesture. But again, there's still more to be done.
So Collins, you are reporting a case of discrimination by staff who are operating the public service vehicle. And you decided to teach the tout or the conductor a lesson so that next time when he sees a person with albinism, he doesn't treat the same way because he thought probably he could not afford paying for the fare. So thank you so much for the experience. We'll come back to you